Hi everyone. Today I'm gonna talk about the sustainable development and its hurdles. First, sustainable development ensure that the needs of the present population are met without compromising the ability of future generation to meet their own needs. Its balance economic growth, social inclusion, and environmental protection as highlighted in the 1987 Brundtland Report. To support this vision, the United Nations introduced the 17th Sustainable Development Goal or SDG in 2015, which addressed the global challenges such as poverty, inequality, climate change, and environmental degradation. However, achieving this goal is challenging. Government face social, economics, and political obstacles, including inequalities, short-term priorities, weak policy enforcement, and conflicting interests among stakeholders. Politics play a key role in overcoming this challenge. Decisions shape policies, resource management, funding, and international cooperation. Strong political commitment and accountability are essential to create inclusive, forward-looking strategies to ensure a sustainable future for a current future. That's all for me. Thank you.
Corruption is a major barrier to sustainable development in Nigeria. Although Nigeria is rich in oil resources, corruption causes public funds to be mismanaged and controlled by political elites. As a result, poverty remains high, economic growth is slow, and public trust in the government is weakened. Money that should be used for education, healthcare, and infrastructure often does not reach ordinary citizens, which limit Nigeria's ability to achieve sustainable development. First is climate change increase inequality. Climate change affects poor and vulnerable communities the most, making it harder for them to access sustainable development opportunity. Second is short-term politics vs long-term sustainability. Government focus on short-term economic growth and election cycle instead of long-term climate and sustainability planning. Third is politics and economic interests delay climate action. Fossil fuel agricultural lobbies influence policymakers to delay or weaken climate regulation to protect their economic interests. Lastly is weak international coordination and inequality. Developing countries struggle to meet climate commitment due to limited financial and technical support from developing nations.
Okay, we moving to the lack of political will. So what happen if in the lack of political will? Lack of political will delay and weakens sustainability policies, causing the environmental and social goals to remain unmet. Secondly, is without strong political commitment, sustainability policies remain undefended, poorly enforced, and incentive. For example, in Malaysia, weak political will at state level undermines forest protection despite national sustainability and the commitments. In order to overcome the obstacle to sustainable development, government bolster environment regulation and enhance their implementation. They implement anti-corruption initiative like independent monitoring and transparent procurement to guarantee policy continuity. For the long-term national sustainability plans are made. To avoid making the contradictory decision, federal, state and local agencies are better coordinate. Additionally, more people participate in order to guarantee accountability and community support for sustainable policies. Okay, for the corruption, how government want to avoid the corruption? So, government can fight corruption by strictly enforcing the anti-corruption law, improving transparency to open tender and digital system, and strengthening independent oversight body. For the case of example is like the Johor Bahru corruption incident 222, show that abuse of power in licensing and permit damage public trust, emphasizing the importance of transparency and effective of monitoring.
As we all know, climate change poses major political challenges requiring changes in economic system, governance, and international cooperation. Global action is essential, but frameworks like UNFCCC and Paris Agreement rely on voluntary national commitments or NDCS, with no strict penalties. Political and social and economic interests can also slow effective climate policies. The Paris Agreement, adopted in 2015, unites 196 countries to limit global warming to well below 2 degrees Celsius, aiming for 1.5 degrees Celsius. Key targets include peaking emission by 2025 and reducing them by 43% by 2030. Countries submit NDCs review every 5 years, with developed nation leading reduction, developing nation increasing efforts, and vulnerable countries given flexibility. The agreement reduces climate risks, promote resilient, low carbon development, and poverty reduction, making it the first binding global effort to tackle climate change.
For the policy making, the first one is short-term decision making. Policy are designed to win votes in the next election rather than for the long-term national goals. Long-term development and sustainability projects are often postponed or ignored. This happens when policy makers focus on policy that can gain public support quickly, especially before election, instead of planning for long-term national development. As a result, important sustainability projects that require time and consistent commitment are often delayed or ignored. The next one is policy inconsistency. Policy frequently change when a new government or leadership come into power. Long-term plan lose continuity, causing weak implementation and waste resources. When a new government or leadership take over, existing policy are often changed or cancelled. This lack of continuity weaken long-term development plans, lead to poor implementation and cost waste of public resources. The next one is economic priority over environment. Government prioritize rapid economic growth over environment protection, environment regulation, and related to attract investment and support industry. Government may prioritize rapid economic growth, such as industrial expansion and foreign investment over environmental protection to attract business. Environment regulation are sometimes related, which can lead to pollution, resources depletion, and long-term environment damage. The next one is influence of interest group. Lobbying by powerful corporation. Policy do not serve public interest. Powerful corporation and industry group can influence policy making through lobbying and political pressure. As a result, policy may be shaped to protect business profit rather than promoting public welfare, social equity, and environmental sustainability.
So let's talk about the recommendations. So the first one is strengthen political will and leadership. So government should be serious about sustainable development and make it part of their national plans. For example, a government includes renewable energy and climate action goals and in its national development policy and regularly check progress. So number two is enhance policy consistency and continuity. So basically, sustainability policy should not stop when a new government comes into power. For example, even after an election, um, a country continues its long-term plan to reduce carbon emissions by 2050. And the third one is improve governance and institutional capacity. Government institutions need enough skills, resources, and authority to manage sustainability program. For example, a ministry creates a special department to monitor environmental protections and ensures laws are are or enforced properly. And the last one is increase political coordinations and cooperations. Different government departments and countries should work together on sustainability issues. For an example, ministries of environment, energy, and transport collaborate to promote public transportations and reduce pollution. So next is enhancing transparency and accountability in governance. So the first one is open access to information, where governments should openly share information about policies, budget, and decision with the public, because this helps citizens understand how decisions are made and how money public is spent. For example, government websites publish annual budgets and project reports. So the number two is strong anti-corruption measures, where governments must enforce strict laws and regulations to prevent corruptions and misuse of public resources. Because regular audits and clear penalties help discourage unethical behavior. For an example, anti-corruption agency investigating and prosecuting bribe bribery cases. And the third one is public participation and oversight, where citizens, civil society groups, and the media should be involved in monitoring government actions. public participant increases trust and ensures that leaders act in the public interest. For example, public consultations or town hall meets um, believe major policy decisions. And the last one is clear accountability mechanism, where government officials should be evaluated based on clear goals and performance indicator. When the leaders fail to meet targets, they should be held responsible for their actions. For example, reviewing ministers' performance based on development and sustainability outcome.
A major political challenge in Malaysia is the lack of integration of climate action on the National Development Plan. Climate change poses a direct threat to sustainable development, so we need effective strategy to address it. First, all government agencies should include climate objectives in their policies across sectors like energy, agriculture, and transport. This ensures climate action is a part of every decision, not just environmental programs. Second, policymakers need to training to understand the sustainability and implement climate initiative effectively. Countries like Germany provide such training to ensure officials have the knowledge and the skill needed. Third, a dedicated budget for climate initiative ensure consistent funding for adaptation and mitigation project similar to India's National Adaptation Fund. By integrating climate goal, building capacity, and providing funding, Malaysia can reduce climate risk, improve disaster resilience, and advance toward the sustainable development goals. This action can also strengthen the transparency and accountability, positioning Malaysia as the global leader in sustainable development.
For the conclusion, the first one is political challenges are major barrier to achieving sustainable development goals. Issues such as short-term political agendas, frequent policy changes, corruption, weak governance, and political instability can slow down or even reverse progress. The next one is these hurdles not only affect environmental initiatives but also impact social and economic development, making it harder to achieve equitable and long-term growth. The next one is addressing these challenges requires strong institutions, transparent governance, active participation of all stakeholders, inclusive policy making, and a commitment to long-term strategy but that go beyond election cycle. The last one, by overcoming political obstacles, country can create a stable and supportive environment for sustainable development, ensuring that resources are managed responsibly, community are empowered, and future generations inherit a more resilient and equitable world.